Well, to get more on this, Tara Kangarlou, who joins us here in the studio. She's a global affairs journalist and also the author of The Heartbeat of Iran and an adjunct professor at Georgetown University. Welcome to the studio, Tara. Now, you were born in Tehran. You've also written the book that we've just mentioned. What are people telling you in Iran right now?
That as always, it's the people of Iran who are suffering. As your correspondents were talking about, we're in a wait-and-see game to see what Donald Trump decides to do next at a time that protesters, thousands of them, are on the streets, risking their lives, demanding change in a government that has for long repressed them. So they are caught between power politics and the rhetorics that are coming from Washington, but also the repression of their regime. So they're highly affected. And again, as your correspondent Reza mentioned, we are now moving into 72 hours, even more, of this internet blackout, digital blackout that, as you know, is a tactic that the government used whenever there are mass protests, just to isolate the country and carry out its crackdown. I managed to speak with folks in Iran, and one of the people that I spoke with, actually, a woman, she told me that comparing to the previous protests that we've seen, what we're seeing on the streets are unprecedented. And she was referring to
Masa Amini, for example.
Yes, 2022, but also 2018 and 2019, two protests that started over economic crisis at the time. And she said, she used the word apocalyptic. Really? She said the masses that we've seen on the streets Thursday and Friday in particular. And another person I spoke with, actually a childhood friend of mine, she said 3 of her friends have been affected. One, unfortunately, was killed, shot in the middle of the protests. Another is in a coma, and her cousin was hit by a rubber bullet. And that is also a common tactic used in quashing these protests. So again, the stakes are extremely high for ordinary citizens, and I cannot emphasize that more.
And given that point, Tara, that the stakes are so high for ordinary citizens, we don't know the death toll, as Reza was commenting. We have seen those awful images of the black body bags. How far do you think the protesters can go? How much longer can they keep going?
I think that's an excellent question. And given the blackout, we really don't know what's happening in Iran, except for the reports that we get, the videos that are emerging, and also the state media. What I've been seeing and what I've been told is that last night, Sunday night, has been less crowd comparing to Saturday and Friday. Tonight, the protests are ongoing sporadically, but I think given the brutal crackdown, we're seeing less. But that doesn't mean that people are not going to continue. That doesn't mean that people are not going to gain their momentum. And this, unfortunately, I think is going to drag. But so many people are living under this anxiety of what's next, both from the United States and also from their own government.
And that anxiety, which really feels like this very difficult limbo period.
Absolutely.
And even as our Washington correspondent was saying, it's unpredictable to know what Donald Trump will do next. And it seems like anything could happen, given what we saw in Venezuela. What do you sense that the US could do?
I just want to underscore what you said about anxiety. And this is something that Iranians have felt not just now or the 12-day war in June, but throughout the years. And I think this is a state of life for millions of Iranians, which is quite poignant and daunting. And it's not fair to this population. So that's an important point. And what's next? Again, and as your correspondent mentioned, I think we know Donald Trump. If we know him for one thing, it's his unpredictability. Yeah. But what I would say that he certainly wants to be a winner. He is riding a high wave right now with what he achieved in Venezuela. So I think he wants to continue that. Now,
so do a Venezuela in Iran?
Whatever he does in Iran, he wants to take it as a victory lap, and he wants to take all credit for it. So I think that's important to note. Another nuance that I would throw in there is we have to look at the region and the Gulf. Saudi Arabia and Qatar very much don't want to have any part of this. They don't want this war to be carried out over their airspace or, their territory. As we know, U.S. has a lot of assets in the region, in Qatar. They don't want any of that. So I do believe Donald Trump wants to make a deal of some sort, but then again, the losers will end up being the Iranian civilians and ordinary people who have paid the highest price in all of this with their lives.
Absolutely. Tara, fantastic to speak to you. Thank you so much for coming in. Really great to get your analysis. Thank you.
My pleasure.